Success. It's what we all strive for, what we chase endlessly. Yet when we finally achieve it, when we stand atop the milestones we once dreamed of, do we feel fulfilled? Or do we quietly wonder, was this the life I wanted, or just the life I was expected to build? For Takeshi, success had become a silent burden. On the surface, he seemed accomplished, a steady job, a respected title, and financial security. But beneath the polished exterior, something was missing. The weight of this unspoken void grew heavier with time. He longed for something greater, something beyond the predictable rhythm of a life built on stability. As a child, Takeshi dreamed of being his own master, carving his path, making choices on his terms. But life has a way of dulling ambition. Stability whispered promises of comfort, and risk seemed less like adventure and more like recklessness. Slowly, without realizing it, he exchanged dreams for routine. In his search for meaning, he stumbled upon the wisdom of a warrior who had walked a different path, Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai. Musashi lived by a code: discipline, focus, and self-mastery. His teachings weren't about superficial success, but about forging a life of purpose and integrity. One phrase struck Takeshi deeply. "It is not the style that is important. It is the purpose." Musashi's words revealed a painful truth. Success without purpose is empty. Though Takeshi had everything society told him to strive for, he lacked the one thing that mattered most: a life driven by inner purpose. He found himself at a crossroads. He could continue down the well-paved path of comfort, or he could confront the part of himself that had quietly faded, the part that once embraced risk, sought meaning, and dreamed of more. Yet as he sat with these thoughts, fear crept in. Fear of failure, fear of stepping outside the comfort zone he'd spent years building. The courageous child who once imagined grand adventures had become a man content with Netflix marathons and endless scrolling. He sought refuge in distractions, but they offered only fleeting comfort. Days blurred together, and Takeshi realized he was drifting through life, avoiding the very challenges that could lead to growth. He recalled Musashi's warning: "The way of least resistance is a trap." Takeshi wasn't just avoiding risks, he was avoiding life itself. Meanwhile, friends around him were settling down, building families, finding meaning. Takeshi, however, felt stuck in a cycle of emptiness. He questioned whether he had ever truly lived for himself or merely followed a script written by others. Again, Musashi's wisdom returned to him. The ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to fight. For Takeshi, the fight wasn't with the outside world, it was within. The real battle was to reclaim his life. One quiet evening, a thought struck him like lightning. If the path you chose led you here, how good was the path you chose? It was a sobering question. He had made choices for stability, to avoid uncertainty and meet expectations. But if those choices led him to emptiness, were they truly the right ones? Musashi's voice echoed in his mind. "The way is in training." This was a call to action. Mastery of life, like mastery of the sword, required discipline, effort, and relentless training. Takeshi knew he couldn't rewrite the past, but he could reshape the future. Instead of regret, he felt something else: hope. The realization that he had the power to choose differently ignited a spark. His path wasn't set in stone. He could chart a new course, one rooted in discipline and driven by purpose. Determined to reclaim his sense of direction, Takeshi turned to the philosophy of the samurai. Their lives weren't built on comfort but on a relentless pursuit of mastery. This ethos spoke to the part of him that longed for growth. He knew, however, that change wouldn't come from grand gestures. It would come from small, consistent actions. Thus began his journey. For week 1, Takeshi set a simple but profound goal: wake up at 4 a.m. every day. This wasn't just about waking up early, it was about reclaiming time, taking control of his day before the world could demand his attention. Takeshi understood that the mornings held the key to his success. They were his moment of clarity, the first opportunity to affirm his commitment to his path. As the world slept, he would rise, a warrior before the break of dawn. This was his time to honor the warrior's way, to cultivate discipline, and to set the tone for everything that followed. He had once heard that how you begin your day determines the quality of the rest of it. This simple truth became his mantra, echoing the timeless wisdom of the samurai. Discipline is the way to true freedom. But adopting the samurai's mindset required more than just willpower. It demanded an unwavering commitment to the way of the warrior. Takeshi knew that every decision he made was a reflection of his personal code, his bushido. This wasn't a fleeting lifestyle change. It was a transformation of his entire being. Each moment, each choice, was an opportunity to shape himself, to build the inner strength that would guide him in battle and in life. He was no longer simply going through the motions. He was living with intention, embodying the discipline of the samurai in all that he did. To cultivate this strength, Takeshi committed to a new routine, one that would forge both his mind and body into something stronger. Just as a samurai would sharpen his sword daily, he would sharpen his resolve. The first step, though straightforward, held profound significance, establishing a strict bedtime. Takeshi understood that rest was just as crucial as training, for the body and mind could not function at their best without proper recovery. Rising with the dawn, he ensured that he would start each day refreshed and focused, prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. He recognized that balance between effort and rest was key to sustaining strength, both physical and mental. No caffeine after noon was another discipline he adopted. He had learned that to clear his mind and sleep soundly, he needed to avoid the jittery effects of stimulants. His mind, like a warrior preparing for battle, needed to be calm, unclouded, and sharp. This decision became a ritual in itself, a reminder that discipline and control over one's desires was central to the samurai's path. As part of his evening routine, Takeshi turned off all electronic devices an hour before bed. In this hour of silence, he embraced reflection. He allowed his thoughts to settle and prepared for the coming day with stillness. Much like a samurai engaging in quiet meditation to center himself before a challenge, Takeshi used this time to ground his mind. His thoughts, once chaotic and distracted, now flowed with purpose and clarity. The noise of the modern world faded, replaced with a profound sense of calm. Instead of indulging in distractions, Takeshi spent his evenings reading and journaling. He read the writings of great warriors, philosophers, and thinkers, nourishing his intellect and expanding his worldview. He would write, not just as a means of reflection but as a practice to sharpen his mind. The act of journaling became a sacred ritual, each stroke of the pen carving deeper into his consciousness, much like the forging of a blade. The time spent reading and reflecting was no longer wasted. It was an investment in his future. This journey wasn't going to be easy. Takeshi knew that true change demands sacrifice, discipline, and the willingness to face discomfort. The temptation of old habits, those that offered instant gratification, whispered to him. But he was no longer driven by fleeting desires. He understood that true progress was not born of comfort, but through challenge. His journey required resilience, and resilience, Takeshi knew, was the foundation upon which true strength was built. Each day as he rises at 4 a.m., he experiences a small victory, not just of the body, but of the spirit. Every morning is a triumph over the previous day's weakness, a step forward in his quest for personal mastery. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And with every early rise, with every moment of focus and discipline, he feels himself evolving, becoming more than the man he was. The path ahead was still uncertain, full of obstacles and unknowns, but for the first time in a long while, Takeshi felt alive. He wasn't merely existing, he was living with purpose. Every challenge, whether physical, mental, or emotional, became an opportunity to grow stronger. Like a samurai facing countless trials, he was moving forward with courage, evolving with each test. He was becoming more than he ever thought possible. And with each step forward, he realized that the true journey was not one of destination, but of continuous transformation. He was no longer the man he once was, nor was he the man he would one day become. He was in the process of becoming, a process that demanded constant self-reflection, discipline, and sacrifice. In this pursuit of progress, Takeshi had found the true meaning of freedom, not in the absence of struggle, but in the mastery over himself.